The Albuquerque Poet Laureate program celebrates poetry by recognizing a resident poet who makes meaningful connections, honors and serves our diverse community, elevates the importance of the art form, and shares poetry with the people of Albuquerque. The program is coordinated by an organizing committee. I am on the committee. My name is Liza Wolf-Francis, as is Tanisha Hale-Jones, Dawn McIver, Mindy Grossberg, and Valerie Martinez. Applying for the Albuquerque Poet Laureate position is highly competitive with a rigorous application that includes poetry and letters of reference, among other items. The Poet Laureate is chosen by a separate 7-person selection committee. The people on this committee participate in a term of 2 selection cycles. Each time they choose the Poet Laureate, they thoroughly review the applications and go through a decision-making process that ends in consensus. So it is a unanimous decision among the selection committee members for who is to be the next Poet Laureate of Albuquerque. This program is generously supported by the City of Albuquerque, and we are thrilled to have such a thriving poetry community in our city and to be announcing today Albuquerque's 5th Poet Laureate. Thank you.
Pennsylvania Dutch red beet eggs. When I think of our next Poet Laureate, I think of hard-boiled eggs in a solution the color of my favorite rebozo, a kind of Frida Kahlo purple pink. About a decade ago, this poet invited me and a handful of other poets into her living room for what would become Sunday Salon, a monthly gathering of poets reading to one another, sharing our work, giving each other encouragement, and making each other better. And at each of these gatherings, this particular poet not only opened her home and pushed us to create new work, but she also served a feast of cheeses, olives, crackers, bread, grapes, tea, and these magical Pennsylvania Dutch red beet eggs. I realized after a few months that it was time for me to up my game. It wasn't enough to just show up with a bag of chips and a jar of store-bought salsa. No, I needed to invest in our community, in our time together. So I started making brownies, sometimes cookies, sometimes lemon bars, and humbly offering them at this table where this poet welcomed the likes of Margaret Randall, Demetria Martinez, Tawny Arness, Andrea Serrano. Over a course of a couple of years, we saw books released, we saw poetry collections completed, we went through passages of breakups, marriages, houses being lost, families being gained, and all along the while, we remained a community of women poets. So this poet, in addition to forcing me to up my game without even knowing it, kind of does this in the world. Wherever she goes, just by her presence, her commitment to excellence, the people around her are inspired to up their game. Whether it's how they show up as human beings, how they support their neighbors, especially neighbors who have been marginalized, how they work in community, how they write their poetry, how they support other artists. Because of this poet, we are all better poets. And because of this poet, we are all better neighbors and better friends. And so it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you my dear friend, my fellow poet, my literary madrina, and our next Poet Laureate, Mary Oishi.
I've done a lot of work besides KUNM. I do a lot of work in the community. I've served on several boards. I have volunteered with gay youth every Friday night for 17 years. I've just done things that just seemed like they needed to be done and people needed help, and so I helped them. You know, it's just what I do. I don't think we should just be here and suck air and contribute pollution. I think we should do something for the community if we can.
I want to thank the Albuquerque Poet Laureate Organizing Committee for their continued work on the Poet Laureate program in our city. It's been such a huge asset to our city. It's given voice to so much, and it's also challenged our thinking and provoked very good ideas. Now, we're also very excited to announce the 5th Poet Laureate in the city of Albuquerque. Mary Oishi, congratulations. We're so excited to have you, and we know that you're going to challenge us, you're going to champion all that we are, and you're going to make this city a better place. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm immensely honored to succeed you as Poet Laureate. In fact, all of the prior Poets Laureate, Hakeem, Jessica, Manny, and Michelle, together we reveal the rich and unique tapestry that is this city. It was my birthday when I arrived here, January 3rd, 1999, and it feels like, as a poet, I actually was born here. The town of my birth never felt like my hometown. It was a sundown town in the rural north, where Black people weren't allowed to spend the night. As a little girl, I would get off the bus with these words ringing in my ears. Remember Pearl Harbor. Go back to your rice paddies, you Jap. We didn't have a TV, but we had a subscription to Life magazine. When I saw the pictures of Bull Connor and the dogs and the water hoses, and I read the words of Dr. King, I thought to myself, they don't even know this little Japanese girl exists, but they're fighting for me. I'm the first Poet Laureate inaugurated during a pandemic, the first who couldn't have my friends and family here with me to witness this event. But there are throngs of people here, truly. First, my family and dear friends, without your support, I wouldn't be here. Thank you. To everyone who ever fought for human rights, civil rights, gay rights, women's rights, you are here with me today because without your courage, your commitment, your sacrifice, I never would have made it. So thank you. To teachers and mentors who encouraged me to press on, Margaret Randall, Nikki Nojima Lewis, and so many more, thank you. To all the Albuquerque poets, if we were to name everyone who could and should be Poet Laureate, we would need to name a new one every month. I mean that. Albuquerque really nurtures its artists, and we have a wealth of great poets in this town. So I will carry this banner, but I plan to share it with many of you. After they open up again, I'll ask neighborhood poets to read with me in one of our many wonderful libraries all over this city. I look forward to employing the power of poetry to express our sorrows, our hopes and dreams, our common humanity in a healing solidarity that is so needed in these extraordinary times. I also look forward to representing this amazing city. I love you, Albuquerque, hometown of my heart. I'll read a few poems. I will smoke again before I die, but it will not be tobacco in my pipe. No, it will be old hurts, consumed, ascending, wisping out into the ethers. It will be all those judgments of who and what was good for me in life, who and what was bad. It will be all those times I clung to people, places, and things. All those times I wearied and wanted to let go, but couldn't. It will be every useless worry that never came to pass. It will be every quiet sadness, every disappointment, every insult, every shock, every hard cry. It will be all those false politenesses, all those heavy pressures to repress truths will reduce to ash and blow away. Gone all posturing and strutting just to cover up the toxic shame infection. I will burn that shame to cinder too. My pipe will be fueled by all those barriers that kept me so long from loving this and that about myself. I will burn off all blaming, all projections. I will burn off all the anger and armor that came from dreaming myself small or in danger. I will burn away excesses, misinformation, medication, illusions, expectations. I will leave this life lean and burned pure to the core, taking with me only what I brought, leaving behind a simple, one-syllable kiss that the face of the world will know only as love. The crone in my young vision, to my surprise, was me. Her presence alone commanded respect, nothing less, and she had no regrets. Oh, she had made mistakes, but they turned out to be some of her best teachers. How can I ever become her, I cried, broken. I'm as far from her as a worm from the moon. And I was. Square your shoulders, she said, was all she said. I'm decades rising, 3 words pulling the tide. This will be my last poem. This was written during the pandemic, and I've noticed that many of my writer friends have been inspired despite what we're going through, maybe because of what we're going through. It's Easter Eve, but if tomorrow were Christmas, the only thing I'd want is to see your face, to hold you to my chest so you could feel the comfort of where you always belong. If tomorrow were Christmas, it wouldn't matter that I had no time for shopping, much as I love to give the humblest of presents sought out with love. If all I can give you is a shaft of light, brought back from a hole found near the end of the tunnel, then I give it with hope that this is the long, dark underground passage to the bright world we dreamed of, where humans come together as one family, connected, revering our mother, protecting our siblings in their feathers, scales, and fur, where we value what has value, loved ones, art, community, where the rush is not to grab it, but to cherish what we have and to honor who we are. Thank you.
The Albuquerque Poet Laureate Organizing Committee would like to thank Mary Oishi. We are welcoming her, and we are so excited that she's going to bring more poetry to the city of Albuquerque and keep us all alive in poetry. Thank you very much.